First off, I'll give you a warning. There are some bad words in this video. During this provincial election, I've seen a lot of people, heard a lot of people talking about the leaders of the various parties. And while I certainly disagree with a lot of the policies of the parties, strongly with a lot of them, I'd like to sit down and have a really good argument with some of them about some of their particular policies. Certainly the language that I've heard used and seen used by a lot of people is quite unbelievable to me. I've heard people called a bitch. I've heard people called an asshole. I've seen people called a whore. These are people in public service. We might disagree with them. We might disagree with them strongly. That kind of language is just unbelievable to me. And, you know, one of the arguments I've heard people use to justify that kind of anger and frustration is they're all the same. All the politicians are the same. No matter who gets elected, it's going to be the same. It's not going to make any difference. They're all the same. Well, you know, using that kind of language is not going to encourage new people to get involved in politics. It's certainly not going to encourage the kind of people that you want to get involved in politics. And you know who's really listening when you talk about that? Is our next generation of politicians. Kids. Our kids. Our next generation of leaders are listening to that. When they hear you talking about this generation of politicians that way, do you think that motivates any of them to get into politics? You know, there's lots of jobs out there that lots of us don't do. Most jobs, most of us don't do. I, for instance, have no desire to be a doctor and stick my hands inside another human being's body, but I'm really glad that people do that. You may feel that way about politics. You may think, I don't really want to do politics. I don't want anything to do with it. But we need people to do politics. We need people to get involved in government. And talking about them that way is not going to encourage our kids to get involved and become that next generation of what we hope to be our better politicians, our better leaders.